Hi, everyone. I finished working on my vector portrait over the weekend, and I wanted to show you how I finished the rest of these steps. I wanted to give you guys a few more pointers. I'm really sorry about my voice. As you can tell, I've got a little bit of a cold today, so I'm just going to do the best I can. But this is where we left off the other day when on my last demo I had done. Let me show you the layers palette. And I like to start off with an empty background. I like to build things up from the bottom. Okay, so here was my original photo, which I'm going to turn off now. These are just the swatches. I'm going to turn those off as well. Um, you're going to need to build these up in layers. You need to think about whatever's the farthest away from you needs to be on the bottom, and whatever's the closest to you needs to be the top. And so you always want that contour line drawing to be on the top. And whatever you have for the background, which I don't have a background, or just basic large areas like the skin and the hair. I went ahead and worked on these areas first. And so the skin is, not particularly not particularly nice looking as it is right now, but there it is. And then knowing that the hair was going to overlap the skin, I went ahead and made a base tone for the hair. Okay, and all I have really on this first version of it are the layers for the skin, the hair, the contour, and I had added one more layer just for like a little bit of the dress and the teeth. Now, I made a lot of changes to it. I'm just going to put this one aside. That was just a copy. I made a lot of changes to it while I was working on it over the weekend, and I wanted to show you how many layers I wound up with. One by one, I'm going to go ahead and make these invisible. Okay, so you can see. Okay, so I'll start with that skin midtones layer. I went ahead and changed the colors around a little bit. I decided that the skin tones looked a little bit too dark. And I wound up breaking the skin into multiple shades, into 4 different colors to get like a mid-tone highlight shadow. And so here's, primarily what this one was. It's just a slightly different, slightly lighter color. That would be the same thing as that, right? Okay, so you recognize that. But then I went in and I started tracing around shapes of some of the, medium areas shadowed, or areas, medium-sized shadow areas, I'm sorry. And then I decided that the shadows and the highlights on the skin needed to be placed over top the midtones, because I felt like the midtones were kind of a base that supported everything, and then I was going to come in and add shadow and highlight later. And that's a lot of times how you would do it if you were drawing or painting. You would kind of start in blocking your medium areas, and then you would come in later and drop in your shadows, drop in your highlights. Okay, so there's some shadow areas and there's some highlight areas. And I really did work on this quite a bit because I found that I had tried to do way too much detail, and it just looked horrible. And so I wound up taking out about half of what I did, and I'm going to, show you how I did some of this in just a moment. This is a little bit irrelevant, but not necessarily. This is the fabric on my dress. Okay, and if you think about it, there's the fabric on my dress right there. The fabric goes over top the skin, so that would be why that's on top there. And remember, this is all going to be underneath a top layer of contour line. And then things like the lips would also happen to be over top the skin, right? The base shape for the hair, which I showed you on this one, Okay, I lightened that up just a little bit too. That stayed about the same, and then I kind of did the same thing. I I broke the hair into low lights, highlights, and midtones, and so I came in with some midtones that I just kind of made some elongated crescent shapes, and then some highlights, and I really deviated away from the the swatches that I created in the beginning. I just had decided that those seemed way too dark, and so I wound up making a lot of changes since you saw this last. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, I forgot to show you the eyes. Now remember that the eyes, I'm going to zoom in on this, if I can get this out of the way. So sorry about my voice, guys. Remember that the eyes are actually going to be covered up by the skin of the eyelids, right? So if you're thinking about layering, while the lips would be on top of the midtones of the skin, in order for the eyes to look right, they're going to have to be on a layer underneath the skin, right? Because otherwise they're going to be floating around on top of the eyelids, which wouldn't work. Okay, so this I all just kind of figured out as I was working on it. You know, I didn't do these in the exact order I'm showing them to you. I did them in the order that you know, seemed intuitive for me, and then just kind of shuffled things around. Okay, and then finally the contour lines on top of that. It didn't go anywhere near as quickly as it went in the in the demo video, but there it is.